I'm not sure any of you are old enough to remember 1942. I won't ask you to raise your hands. If you were, you probably wouldn't remember that a book was published that year under the name The Screwtape Letters. Some of you may have read it, and if you do, you know that it's a fictional set of correspondence written from one demon to another. Now you may think, what in the world kind of person writes a work of fiction that is basically supposed to be letter writing between devils? And that's a fair question, I suppose. Lewis wrote this book, the Screwtape Letters. Screwtape was the elder demon. He was the kind of mentor to his nephew, Wormwood, who is the younger demon, kind of the demon in training. And so you kind of get a sense for how they relate, and they reflect on strategies, and they reflect on how difficult it can be to war against Jesus and the Spirit, and yet how they are persevering in the different kinds of strategies. And so Lewis wrote the book to sort of invite us to think about things from the enemy's perspective. Maybe to think about how the devils and the demons strategize and act with cunning and deception to mislead and to destroy us. In one letter, the question arises as to whether the younger demon, Wormwood, should reveal himself to the specific human to whom he's been assigned. He's always called the patient in the novel. Your patient, kind of a misrepresentation of the physician-doctor relationship, or a twist on it. And so Wormwood raises the question, apparently, should I, as I'm tempting and trying to mislead and trying to deceive and practice cunning, should I reveal myself? You know, maybe there's this fearful thing and this destructive element in revealing myself. And Screwtape reminds him that it is the policy of hell. He says, he calls Satan our father below. It is the policy of our Father below to never reveal ourselves unless it is a crucial, last-minute, absolute necessity. And why is that? Why would the demons rather remain unknown or hidden? And the logic goes, well, hey, you know, if they don't know we're here, then we have more weapons in our arsenal to kind of deceive them with. And so we can sort of launch those flaming arrows the Apostle Paul talks about related to deceit or deception, or even more problematic, just distraction. You know, you're tired, and who wants to pray when they're tired? And the enemy is in a position to just kind of, well, here's some other things you could do. Screwtape says if you reveal yourself, all of those strategies are gone, and he knows it's you. We'd much rather our patients, the humans, not know there's a battle happening. We'd rather be able to attack them and them never realize they're under attack. Lewis's point, of course, is that spiritual warfare is a real thing. Spiritual warfare is a real thing. And he wanted his readers to realize that ignorance of that warfare, ignorance of that battle, plays directly into the hands of the enemy. You can imagine what it would be like for two nations to be at war and only one of them to realize it. It would be pretty easy to confound and confuse and destroy if the nation on defense didn't realize there was a battle happening. And Lewis wants us to think about that in light of our spiritual experience, in light of our Christian experience. And Lewis recognized that human beings, people, us, you and me, we're prone to walk through life just kind of 9 to 5, or I got my shift I got to work, and my kids have got some things, and there's homework to do, and sports, and the preacher keeps calling, asking us to help out with some stuff at church, and we got a lot going on, and we can just kind of go through life and go from one thing to the next and never pause. I mean, we can go weeks, months, maybe years without pausing to reflect on the reality that every day there is an invisible enemy attempting to destroy us. And Paul addresses this in Ephesians 6 with his language of the armor of God, and his insistence that you have an enemy, and he is the devil, and he has this cadre of authorities and powers who are associated with him, and they are warring against you. And if you want to be successful, you've got to be prepared and aware of that. It's as if Paul is saying to us forthrightly, you can't win a battle you don't know you're fighting. If there's one thing to sum up as we dig in, we're going to see this again and again and again with this armor of God language and the way Paul describes spiritual warfare. He would want us, with all of our busyness and all of our distractions and all of our sometimes complacency and sometimes enthusiasm, to realize that there is a war happening on a daily basis, and many of us are ignorant of it. We're just not paying attention. You can't win a battle you don't know you're fighting.